I know that you've all been prepared for this, but I thought I'd just remind you just the same.
Can you handle that, Blondie?
Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
It was pure evil.
I want to buy some radio ad time.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Toohey.
We got Carmack in the back. This is Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. Let's get to it, motherfuckers. Alright, Noel. Alright, Noel, so we're back with another serialized version of a 1990s franchise. I know Chucky we talked about Chucky last time, and Chucky, I know, had his birthplace in the 80s, but it really belonged to the 90s in the same way, like a Scream or something like that.
Same way Halloween belonged to the 80s and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the 70s, coming into the 80s as well. But like, what we're talking about is from 1990s is I Know What You Did Last Summer, a kind of a B-list slasher movie from back in the day, something that was spawned on the back of the success of Scream. Like a lot of these things, like there's Scream on the back of Scream, there was like Find Destination. I won't really say because it's all about death and shit. It's slightly different. But I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, these kind of like B-level Scream slashers, you know, these
the killer amongst us, you know, it's the killer amongst us. It was the killer amongst us slasher. Like Michael Myers wasn't a friend of yours in school.
No, it was more of, it was like your past coming back to haunt you.
Well, actually, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, that is more accurate, isn't it?
Yeah, same with Scream, because it's all about Sydney's mother, you know, her past. Everybody in Scream is attached to Sydney's past. It's all about the past come back to haunt you, you know. And like, I Know What You Did Last Summer back in the day was about these kids that were driving home from a party. They were kind of drunk. They knocked down this dude by accident, and they ended up pretty much killing him, but he wasn't actually dead. And then they end up chucking him in the river, and they end up actually killing him. And then somebody comes out and seeks revenge, dressed as this dude who was a fisherman, had a hook for a hand, I think, and carried a hook.
His thing, a me hook.
Yeah,
a handheld me hook, I think. Like, you know.
And all of that, you're like, sounds like a pretty simple premise. Let's reimagine that. Let's reenact that. Let's recreate that. Let's reboot that. Fishermen, Friends, all this jazz. And then the creators of the TV series and Amazon were like, we'll just keep the name.
Yeah. And we'll make sure that the thing they did was last summer. Are you happy?
Yeah, what really bugged me about the sequels to I Know What You Did Last Summer is because it's not last summer after the first year. It's that summer. It's like, or I Know What You Did too. Yeah, I used to always say,
because it was I Still Know, wasn't it? It was like,
I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So just call it.
It would have to literally take place in the act, like literally
same
pick
year.
up, same year, or even like continue the scene like Lord of the Rings style or something.
Yeah. But like, you know, that really always bugged me. It's like, it should be I Know What You Did That Summer, and it would have been so much easier to keep calling it that afterwards. I Know What You Did that summer for the rest of them, because it's like last summer's the first.
Yeah, that summer remembers that summer. Yeah,
it should have been I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Know What You Did That Summer. Part 3 should have been I Still Know What You Did That Summer. Yeah. It's that easy.
Yeah.
But like, so it's a simple premise about kids that a group of kids knock down a dude in the original, and then they cover up the murder, and so somebody finds out about the murder a year later, comes to enact revenge. This is quite similar in terms of its premise, except it abandons the fisherman thing, and in its case it's kind of like this omnipresent killer that we don't really see on screen. And in this case as well, instead of a bunch of kids killing some random old dude, some stranger to them, that they kill a girl called Lennon, who gets knocked down by her own sister. What's her sister's name?
Oh, God, we have to understand as well that there's one twin taking the other twin's identity, which was shoehorned in there. So was it Lennon that was killed?
Yeah, Lennon was killed. What was it? So Lennon was killed by Ashley? Or something, but like, so pretty much Lennon gets killed by her kind of deadbeat daughter, in air quotes, the no hope or whatever. And Lennon she was going to college in Michigan. She was an A student. She was a socialite, the exact opposite of her identical twin sister. And can you just find out her name? But like, it's the exact opposite of her identical twin sister. But so the identical twin kills Lennon.
Madison is Iceman.
Is her real name?
She plays Alison Ann Lennon.
Alison, sorry, yeah. So I was close. I said Ashley.
So which one is? See, which one gets run over? It's Lennon that gets run over.
Yeah. So pretty much what happens is Lennon and Alison have a fight. Alison leaves, taking Lennon's jacket. Lennon's friends all leave the party, get into a Jeep with Allison, who's dressed as Lennon, because Lennon is pretty much dressed her identically for
It's
the
already
party.
so fucking stupid.
So convoluted. But like, so then what happens is Aisling drives the friends out. They accidentally kill someone. They realize that it's her identical twin Lennon. They think she's Lennon. So she assumes the identity of her identical twin sister, and they think that Alison is actually the one that's died and not Lennon. And then that's the big secret in this one. But like, I just thought about this movie, interesting premise, a little bit convoluted.
Series.
Yeah, but sorry, what they said movie. Sorry, with this
Said
series,
movie, yeah, you know.
Sorry,
And it won't be the last time we do it.
yeah, but I just think with this series that it's a bit of a convoluted premise, even though it's kind of interesting. But how accepting everyone was that found out the secret wasn't saying the father. He was just like, I'm not going to lose 2 daughters tonight. You're the good one now. You know? Yeah. It's like, that's not how it works.
I love you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, so you call, like, I'm going to pay your room a visit at night now instead of your sister's. That's what, the father's such a creep in it to me.
Do you remember, like, you know, about every one of these things, they always, like, for anything to work, especially when there's a terrible secret that a group of people know, because that's always stressful. Like, a secret known by a group is not a secret. That's just something that's true in life.
What did it say? The only way for 3 people to keep a secret if 2 of them are dead.
Yeah, actually, that's the exact expression. And but even like, yeah, another one is 2 people knowing a secret is exactly one person too many, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, but you always have that one person who's tortured. That one person that's you think it is probably going to go to the cops, or that one person that you think is going to like do themselves in because they can't live with the guilt. Whatever the case may be, it's all hat. But like they really, really went overboard on the tortured soul with Dylan.
Oh my God.
Oh, like, I just, every time he got on screen, I remember just thinking, you know what, I was actually enjoying it, and now he's back.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stomach him.
One thing I give this that had in spades over Chucky was, even though the cast were inexperienced actors, they were way better at carrying the show than the younger actors were in Chucky.
Oh, yeah.
Way better.
Like, Margot was a good, like, fucked up kind of, you know, privileged teen. I thought she played the character quite well.
Yeah, it looked way better with long hair. I just put that out there.
Just putting that out there. Relevant.
Yeah, I thought she played it very well. She was a complex character. Her mother was forcing her to kind of be an online presence, to be an influencer. It showed you like, this is a modern story told correctly, because it encapsulated all the things that modern life had, but it didn't really get bogged down in them. So it showed us that the daughter, Margot, suffers from kind of bulimia. She purges and then vomits, and her mother's constantly giving her pressure about her weight, about her appearance, about her image.
It's I don't know what you would call it, but it's when you overeat. Like, bulimia is quite often you just eat and you get sick because you don't want to put in the calories, but she goes crazy. She's talking about this tiny little waif of a thing, and she eats like a full fucking birthday cake or something like that, and then she's getting sick all night. So it was the life she was told she needed to lead crashing with the life that she wants to lead, and it was just coming to the forefront in kind of like this kind of overzealous kind of way that it quite often does with young people.
Yeah,
but
and
it
showed. But it showed us, like, it gave us kind of an insight into what the modern pressures are for a lot of younger people.
Yeah, actually, and
like,
I thought
in
it
a
did
good
well.
way. Like, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That was the difference between that and Chucky. It didn't feel shoehorned. It didn't feel like they were distracting away from anything. It was just part of the story.
For people wondering why you keep saying Chucky, the last podcast we actually did was about Chucky, and these 2 things are definitely released around the same time, so we finished them in the same week. And we can't help but to compare one to the other. And everything
they're very similar in terms of...
Very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar in terms of the messaging they're trying to convey, the progressiveness.
And they're both
of the
series
stories.
based on horror and
pre-existing horror franchises.
Exactly, yeah, of course.
But I think, like, what it did was what I liked about it was that it incorporated the modern life a lot better than Chucky, in terms of how it just kind of flowed with the story. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel
I bought it that these group of friends were having sex with each other, partying with each other, hating each other, loving each other, the complex relationship between sisters, all that kind of stuff.
They felt like friends.
Yeah, they felt like friends in the kind of the warts and all aspect that friendship can be.
And maybe Chucky would have benefited with a slightly older cast.
And by slightly older, we mean slightly older. Like 3 years. or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, you know, especially when you were so young, like the difference between being 18 and being 21, and the difference between being 21 and 24 is so much more significant than being 33 and 36 or something like that. You know,
you keep telling yourself that, Noel.
I'll keep telling, and 38 is the new 21, and and other things we tell ourselves. But no, it did. This had these characters, like it was a bit silly. You're one playing her own sister, because as we know, with identical twins, more often than not, you're going to have an actor, you know, combing their hair over and playing themselves. You know, and this did that. But
well, this made sense to have one actor playing the two roles because Lennon got killed so early in the run.
Yes, and it was so easy to do the flashbacks.
Yeah,
because there wasn't actually a terrible lot of scenes where they were interacting with each other. There was 6 or 7, and they were short. So it was doable.
And that kind of highlighted the fact that they were they'd grown apart in terms of the relationship, because they didn't really share a lot of scenes together, and that helped in terms of obviously the duplication of the actor. But it actually helped as well because it showed that they'd grown distant from each other. And that's why a lot of the times in the flashbacks that they were never really together, because they didn't share the same social circle. Because Lennon was more like, I think kind of Dylan was slightly more Alison's friend, and then Lennon, the rest of them were kind of more Lennon's friends. You know, that kind of, because she fancied Dylan and Dylan kind of fancied her. You know, that kind of unrequited. I know it wasn't really unrequited, but you know, that kind of unsaid love or never said love or whatever. That will they, won't they bullshit. Like,
God, why couldn't he have been the first one to get his brains bashed in?
Fucking salt licks. That guy had serial killer written all over him.
Yeah, we deserved it for what we did.
Yeah,
you know, just such a tortured soul.
Brooding in.
And I can imagine the poor. Again, I get to bring back to a conversation. Frankly, we've had too many times, and it's my fault. But is that the script or is that the actor? And I'm definitely going to give the actor Ezekiel Goodman a pass on this one. I just feel like this was direction. No. Ezekiel, I need Dylan to be even more tortured. Are you sure? Because I'm just randomly setting up salt licks out here and cutting myself off from society. And I wasn't driving. You know,
what was his name? Ezekiel. So he goes like Ezekiel.
No, he's Dillian. His real name is
Ezekiel. So the director was probably like, Ezekiel, go find some shade. I need you to brood hard. I need some hard broodage right now, brother. You know what I mean? Like, you're tortured from this, right? And I want you to convey it in darkness, and I want you to hide from the light because you're hiding from your shame.
Just imagine if Bruce Wayne just never decided to do the Batman thing. Imagine if he just kind of sat in it. You know, like that's what I want you to bring. A Batmanless, moneyless fucking Bruce Wayne. Oh my God. But he gets a pass. Again, I'm not trying to shit on Ezekiel Goodman, the actor. He's actually a very competent, very believable actor. It was just, we get it. We get it.
Yeah, one thing I liked about it was that because the killer was kind of unseen, that when they focused on the relationships between the people, that it was compelling enough to carry the story forward, even though I don't really like the fact that the killer was unseen. Because you need to see, like, because I know it's like it's a whodunit, but just you just conceal their face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I just think the fact
they didn't give us breadcrumbs for who the killer was. Like, I'll admit I didn't know who the killer was when the reveal came around. I flirted with the idea of that was the killer, but I flirted with the idea that everyone was.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I flirted with the idea, so I'm not going to sit here and claim that I actually did know. I simply didn't. But the reason that you didn't see the killer is that it was Margot and her, who was a very absolutely tiny woman, and the bodyguard Kyle was the one that was doing all of the heavy lifting. So we were looking at one person to be the killer.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you
that
see
was the red herring.
Yeah, but even if you see the big dude, you're going to like write off Margot straight away.
Yeah, that's it.
You know
and he was such a non-character. Like, he shows up and he kind of goes, "Your mother wants you," and she goes, "Oh, okay, Kyle, I'm coming." And that would be the last we see of Kyle for like 2 episodes or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't. Yeah. He was just like, he was background actor. He was like somebody who was eating in the father's cafe or something. He was literally nothing. Like, he was just making up the numbers. So, but at the same time, we knew Margot couldn't she couldn't hook a slushy machine up to a man's mouth. You know what I mean? Like she weighed like 72 pounds.
Yeah, she was like pure steak, wasn't she?
She was a tiny girl.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very petite woman. So you knew that she wouldn't have the physical capability of that. I have to say though, when she was revealed to be the killer, it wasn't a huge leap for her to be that fucked up.
Yeah,
like it wasn't such a huge leap that I just found myself going, oh no, that's impossible, or oh really, the person who's been absolutely lovely this entire time, and now we're just going to realise that they've been. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes they just overreach. It's like Stu when he turned out to be the one of the two killers in Scream. Yeah. He was a quirky, fun type of messed up. And it wasn't that. It didn't feel like a complete disassociation from the story to find out that he's that kind of fucked up. It worked.
Like Mickey in Scream 3.
Like Mickey in Scream 3. That's it's a really good example as well. There's just the overt kind of how much he was obsessed with the film world and stuff like that. Yeah, it wasn't too much of a departure. So I think they got that right. I think I'm going to use your analogy and just say it was very One Tree Hill.
Yeah,
like there was so much dynamics going on between, because Margot is, I don't know if she's gay or she's bisexual, but she had a thing.
She's very obsessive, I think.
She's very obsessive. They made that earlier.
I don't think I don't think it mattered if it was a dude or a girl to her. I think once you became the object of her obsession, that she just.
I think that's spot on, actually.
Yeah, I think it was just that kind of case, like, you know, and that's one thing I liked about it. Like, it didn't go, Margot's gender fluid, Margot's this, Margot's that. It just Margot's Margot. She's just an obsessive person.
It wasn't a civics lesson. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about who was fucking who.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, oh, she's banging Lennon out. I don't care. I just don't. I'm actually interested in the obsessiveness she seems to have with this girl.
Yes, her character had more than one dimension. And again, it goes back to our Chucky conversation the other day, and that was that it was a civics lesson. Because you know, it was about being a young gay man and stuff like that, and I was like, that's a great hook if you want to tell a story, but tell it in a story about that. Tell it in a story about a life in the teenager, or
tell me a Chucky story with that being a part of it. Don't tell me a civics lesson with Chucky being a part of it.
Don't exactly. You know what? That is fair. No matter who comes for you,
Candyman.
No matter who disagrees with you or who has a pop at you saying that you're being insensitive or anything like that.
No, it's being truthful.
But I think that point you just made, that don't give me a bit of Chucky in a civics lesson, is a fair thing to ask from a Chucky. And
exactly.
it is. And I think, and I know what you did last summer, I think it threaded the needle better. But certainly better. No doubt about that, 100%. But it did get bogged down in it as well. Like, it did suffer lag, massive
especially the last, in the kind of the middle episodes, kind of lagged a bit.
Exactly, yeah. Because I was saying to you, I started this a good bit before you kind of waited till they were pretty much all out, and then you just kind of blasted
when
through
it all came out. I just been catching up on shows last 2 or 3 weeks.
I watched the first half of it, then I didn't see it for a week or two, and then I finished it up. But I was saying to you that Johnny was the name of the first character to get killed. Yeah, and I can't even remember it fully.
The guy that was dating his coach.
Yeah, the guy who was dating his coach, that was it, yeah. And he gets something dropped on him from a height. He gets his brains bashed in or something. I can't remember the exact
No, he gets thrown. He pretty much what happens is a weight gets thrown on the coach's head or something, and then he
goes upstairs and he gets thrown through the banisters.
Yeah.
And then something dropped on his skull, and it's brutal. Like, it's legitimately brutal. It's worse than any of the deaths that we've seen in the films. Like, it was just for the absolute horrificness of a way that would actually be to die. Yeah. And I said, okay, I'm in. I remember just thinking, like, it was losing me in the first even 20, 30 minutes, and then it did that, and it went, nice, okay.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. It was like even though it did at times get bogged down in the One Tree Hill thing, and it's the same thing that what Chucky did do well was when it gave me kills, it gave me gruesome kills.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and Chucky did do that
through a window, loads of people in a theatre getting stabbed from underneath their seats. It did have those moments, undeniable.
Yeah, real viscera. You know, like, and that's like, so two of them more successful in terms of that. But like, one thing Chucky did that I know what you did last summer did not do, and Chucky held on to obviously the original design of the doll itself, brought back the Brad Dourif.
Chucky is a continuation. I know what you did last summer is a revamp, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So what did you make of kind of the No Fisherman? Like the no me hook, the total abandonment. Considering that I Know What You Did Last Summer, the TV series, takes place completely within Hawaii, which, surprise, surprise, is an island. Surprise, surprise again, massive fisherman population.
Massive fishing industry.
Yeah,
it's like it would be. I don't have the numbers, but I'd imagine it's a fairly, like, for one industry, it's probably a significant number.
Exactly. Yeah. So
like I thought, I don't know. You know what? Although to answer your question, I have to jump to the very, very, very end where we see that Riley, who has had her hand cut off and she's been covered in honey and all this kind of shit, that she's alive because that's how that would work.
What's all the honey all about? Just side note, like, you can finish your point.
I don't know. Like, I think it's almost like a nature's epoxy. I think they were trying to, it would preserve the body, because they had the when Alison's body finally floated out of the cave a year later, she was in fairly good nick for a year
because they had preserved her in honey.
Preserved her. So Riley opens her eyes, but Riley is after getting her hand cut off. So I think in the second season we're going to get her as a hook killer. I think
Riley was my favourite character.
Riley was a cool character because the complexity. Her mother was the comic relief, but it was comic relief done interestingly because her mother was a shitty person.
Yeah, shitty person. And I love the way she was trying to, she really tried to make up for the guilt she felt for being such a shitty mother when she was looking for Riley.
Yes,
like that part of the story is very interesting. I thought
that part of the story was actually done really well.
Kind of like Gone Girl, or not Gone Girl, is it the one with Casey Affleck?
Yeah.
Is it?
No, that's not Gone Girl. That's the one.
What's the other one? The one where his kid goes missing and the really shitty parents and they feel like so bad about it because you're personifying your guilt of being a shitty parent and the neglect, that kind of way.
Yeah, it's in your face then that you've gone baby gone.
Gone Baby Gone, yeah. So like I just kind of those moments, even though obviously not as good as Gone Baby Gone's a world class movie, but like just those moments for that and Riley's relationship with her mother, I thought that was actually quite interesting part of the story. And I thought Riley was probably the best character.
She had some great lines because even when your mum's like, I can't lose my daughter, and Alison and Lennon's father was like, yeah, I know, it's the absolute worst. And instead of like saying, oh, what a relatable moment, she goes, at least you had a spare one. Yeah, that's a good fucking line, man. That's just a good line, like, And then she dies in I don't know if I loved it or hated it, but then she goes, she finds this.
I wouldn't have killed her.
I wouldn't have killed her either, but
no, very strong actor, very strong character.
Very strong actor, very strong character, yeah. But she dies in kind of a dark Home Alone, a Saw kind of way. Yeah. Which outside, which you don't really normally in the middle of the day, which you don't see all too often. There's like she touches a device that's in front of a goat, and all of a sudden you hear like wire, and she gets caught in a noose, and she gets hung from a digger. Yeah. Do you remember that? It was very.
Oh yeah. Actually, I do. Yeah, Yeah, she pretty much gets lynched.
Yeah, she does, and it's a pretty horrible death again. But this is the thing; it didn't shy away from the viscera and gore that you kind of want from a slasher. Yeah, like the horror, that is your horror aspect. Everything else is storytelling, but this is your horror aspect, and it did a good job of that. I think it did. I think actually it's a very easy 50 even-handed film where I could definitely shake its hand and slap it at the same time.
Yeah, well, I think that's the case with a lot of these kind of B-grade 90s slasher movies when they were in their original iterations anyway. That a lot of them they had interesting moments, but the stories were often quite weak. And that's why you never had like the same successful franchise, never became as iconic as a Scream. And like I Know What You Did Last Summer, even though I think it spawned 3 movies altogether, that it never became iconic as like a Ghostface. Like the fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer is not like, it's not even in the same league, and I think that's the problem, because you need to have a strong story.
The story didn't lend itself to like more and more and more killers, because the copycat Scream lent itself to copycat, especially in the clout chasing world that we live in. Yeah, it was like the first iteration of clout chasing in horror movies for me.
For Scream was.
For Scream, yeah. They want to be famous, and in Scream 4, your one was actually doing it for Emma Roberts' character was doing it for literally social media and stuff like that. But I Know What You Did Last Summer was a proper revenge tale. Yeah. And once you take out that killer, you have to really expand the story in kind of silly ways. So I get that why it failed, and why it was a very strong first entry, and why it kind of weighed it off after that.
I think what people are forgetting that like some of the best slashers of all time are these very lean stories.
Yes.
Very lean. Like you don't need to get bogged down in character development and all this shit. You really don't. You just need suspense. You need scares, and you need a fucking captivating killer. You need someone that's going to scare you every time they're on screen. And like they're just three elements that are very easy to make up some of the best slashers. You don't really need a shit ton of character development, and maybe slashers really don't lend themselves correctly to TV series in a lot of ways, because even though we get increased kills, I say that, but like not really. 90 minutes you can see a lot of kills in a slasher movie, but like, and kills aren't even that important.
Oh, well, if you're going to put like a per capita per 100,000 heads like we do, you have to films or to series, you'd have to put it to a per minute. In 90 minutes we got 6. And in 250 minutes we got 20. Well, I don't know which is more. Yeah, exactly.
Like, so I just think that like slasher movies, because the nature of them in themselves lean themselves to very lean storytelling, that I think when you have I think superheroes, because there's such an expansion of certain characters that they lend themselves very well to a longer format of storytelling, because they originate from comic books. So so a TV series suits them well. But with slashers, they originated from a 90-minute storytelling format. And like, so to expand them to 7 40-minute episodes you're going to get a lot of chaff amongst the wheat. And I think that's where these slasher TV series aren't as impactful as the slasher movies. Because with a slasher movie, it's supposed to be danger, 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 climax. And it's such a high pace genre, and like even if you have something suspenseful as Halloween, it feels very high paced because it's such a short movie that the kills come quick and fast, giving them beats. And when you have a 40-minute TV episode, you might have 2 kills per episode. 2 kills will take up maybe 7 to 10 minutes of screen time. You've got 30 minutes of One Tree Hill.
Yeah, and there was a lot of One Tree Hill. And you have that. Dylan doesn't talk to us anymore. Like
exactly, So and you have that 7 times. So that's the problem. Where you might have it 9 times or 10 times. So I think that's slasher movies. I think are better as movies, better as 90-minute movies, because the threat is always so inherently there. It's around every corner, around every bend. Michael Myers is all 90 minutes. From the progression of the origin story of him breaking from the mental institute, the grounding and development of Laurie Strode as a character, and then the fact that they come in contact and Michael Myers picks up her and her friends as the targets. And then after that, it's kill. And it feels that way even though there's only 3 or 4 deaths. Because it's such a short movie after that. Because you've like an hour. Because you have half an hour of character building and then the hour of babysitting and the murders. And but even though there's only 3 or 4 kills, it feels like you're getting killed. Someone's getting killed all the time because it's so condensed.
There's no wasted minutes. It's not bogged down in
exactly. That's the thing. No waste of resources, and that's all the world-class slashers are lean and they're fast. And even if they're slow paced, it seems faster because it's only a 90-minute movie.
Yes.
So I just think in terms of slashers being exported from movie format to TV format may not be successful. That's why the Scream TV series didn't hit us the same way as the Scream movies, and that's why Chucky didn't hit us in the same way as the Child's Play movies, the originals. That's why I Know What You Did Last Summer, the TV series, hasn't hit us in the same way as the original, because the threat does not seem so inherently there. Is it because 80% of the time they're in complete safety?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like there was literally like cookouts, and there was like town meetings, and they.
I don't need to see the Dawson's Creek, I don't need to see the Dawson's Creek.
Each other's houses, and there was sexual politics, because who will and won't, and I'm like, your friend just got his brains bashed in. Now Riley's gone missing. She's been stabbed and having her hand cut off, and she's crawling to her death, and it was just like, and somehow they kept going back to these insular dynamics. And it just fuck off, man.
The thing is,
it could have been, like you said, wasted resources. It could have been 4 episodes.
It really could have.
Very, very good episodes.
Very good episodes. And you could have portrayed all those things, have them all an hour long each. You still have a 4-hour-long horror movie, which is fucking almost unheard of. Like, so you can convey Margot's obsession, you can convey her relationship with Lennon, you can convey like Dylan and Alison and their relationship and all these things, Riley and Dylan's relationship, her going missing, her relationship with her mother. All of that could have been done in 4 episodes. No chaff whatsoever. And we would be saying, geez, I Know What You Did did last summer miniseries was incredible. It was so tight. It gave me 4 hours of non-stop kills. It was like, it gave me character development, slasher heaven, like, you know. And I just think like you could have done that where you could have had each episode nearly almost be standalone. So you tell me about Margot's relationship here, and then you could even go, okay, 2 characters, we're going to develop them here, this relationship here, and then we lead into the climax. And like, you know, and that's the ethos of a 90-minute movie, where you develop the main relationships bit by bit, and then you give me the climax whilst kills are going on in the background. And like, you can do that, as you said, in 4 episodes. You don't need 7, 8, 9, 10, not for a slasher. No. You know, maybe for like a sprawling science fiction movie, or for something like this, like, you know, like an Alien lends itself well to 7 or 8 episodes.
Because of course, it's a high-end concept. It's an evolutionary question. It's somebody been put down the pecking order of the food chain, blah blah blah. Yeah, of course, like you said though, the lean comment, it's a very fair thing, because we're not talking about something that is just this huge dynamic. It's a killer on the loose.
Yeah, the thing
That's
is,
what it is.
Do you remember what we talked about before in Nightmare on Elm Street? Once upon a time, we talked about the remake, and the difference with the original was when there was lulls in the story, you felt them, and the original you didn't, because Nancy herself was a compelling character, and
she was very frantic and stuff, and she was
And they built, and I think it was Natasha Henstridge or someone played her, but like it was in between Freddy killing people in their dreams. She held the story together well, and they kept those scenes short, but at the same time they were constantly developing her as a character. And there's no real lulls in between the kills, because it's only 10 or 15 minute snippets. Just develop her a little bit, next kill, develop her a little bit, next kill, and then it runs through to the climax. But if you have fucking 7 or 8 episodes, it's like develop, 1 kill per episode, 2 kills per episode, and it just gets bogged down, and you feel those lulls. And with slashers, I think it needs to be high-paced in its concept in terms of its duration. And even if it's a suspense thriller slasher, if it's a high-paced slasher, torture porn slasher, all these things, the kills need to come quickly and frequently. And the character development has to play second fiddle to that, I think, in a good slasher movie.
People need to not relax. Like in this, people actually relaxed. Yeah. And then I relax.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that, dude. That's why I watch South Park. It's why I watch Rick and Morty. It's why I watch any comedy. I like to just sit out and relax. But when I watch horror, it's something else that I'm looking for. And honest to God, they actually relax. And that's so frustrating. Because all you can do is... And I watched this before you did, I know. But I watched the first few episodes when they came out. And then we watched, like, I'm going to say 3 or 4. I'm going to say 4.
Yeah.
And then Sheila said, I just, that's enough for me tonight. I just want to watch something else. And that's fair enough. That'll happen even with great shows. Yeah. But we just didn't go back for a while. Yeah. It's like, as much I was enjoying it, but at the same time, I was just, at that point, I was just like fatigued with the fucking, the One Tree Hill aspect of it.
That's the problem.
I went back and I enjoyed it, but then I needed to take a break from it, because I was so fucking fed up with the One Tree Hill aspect of it.
Yeah, no, I was the same way too. Like, I think we watched a couple of episodes, we'd take a day's break. We'd watch a couple of episodes, take a day's break. Yeah. Because I wanted to get through it, because I like slashers. It's something I grew up on watching, like, bad parenting. But no, I love slashers, and I love good slashers, and I just think of all the subgenres that are attached to the horror genre itself, the slashers maybe don't lend themselves as well to a TV format, because lean, no lulls, high pace, frantic killing, constant killing, frequent killing.
Man.
Miniseries. Yeah.
Like, as in that it's not going to try and wrap itself up for a second series. I'm talking 4 episodes and we're done. It would lend itself to that perfection.
And you can leave it open, like, and the thing is, like, if you have a lean story, you can just leave a lot of room for next season, like,
Yeah. Especially if you're basing something around revenge, because revenge can be passed around. Now, like, the guy seeking revenge has been killed in some sort of, huge thing, but the person who got fucked over during the telling of the story, now it's the continuation of their story. You can have it both ways, but it just lended itself to too much downtime. Too much downtime. That's my biggest critique, and it loses, like, if it's a 5-star show, it loses 2 full stars just based on that. That's how strongly I felt.
That's what I'm saying. You felt the lulls massively, and that's the problem with a slasher series, I think. But no, before we get the fuck out here, what did you make of the climax and Alison, who's now fully pretending to be Lennon? Margot knows she's Alison, and Margot stabs her. Yet she turns around and blames Dylan and turns Dylan into the police.
Well, we found out that she intentionally ran over her sister, so it turns out she's a bit of a psychopath as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
she
now
hated
I
her
think-
sister, so jealous of her.
So now I thought it was clever in the sense that I think it's turned protagonists into antagonists.
Yeah.
And it's opened up to a second season. Now I thought that was actually well done, and also I pride myself, like we all do. We're all little like detectives. You think you're such a smart ass because but you follow the breadcrumbs. But I didn't. It was just the fact that Margot was so it's the fact that we spent so much time with her.
Yeah.
And she looked scared in certain scenes and stuff, and I thought
Good
she
actor.
couldn't be good actor. And but I thought that, and especially it was just obviously somebody very physically capable, but so again, I just didn't put together that she's rich, that she has somebody, and she's gorgeous, and she probably has somebody who's either obsessed with her or works for her, or both. So yeah, it got me in that sense. I liked the climax. I actually did. I have to say, it lulled, but when I didn't get it, I always have to give credit. I always have to tip my cap. Again, I'm looking forward to a second season, but I'm not exactly going to be. I haven't got some
Chomping at the bit.
Chomping at the bit. It comes when it comes. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I like the Margot as the killer was interesting. I like the fact that Alison, and who's pretending to be Lennon, picked her instead of Dylan because she understands that she's nearly every bit as obsessive as her. You know, they're very similar. You know, and they've kind of fallen in love through up this weird obsession with each other because Alison always felt overlooked for her sister, and even though Margot and her sister had this relationship, her and Margot developed their own kind of version of that relationship throughout the series. And I love the way, even though Margot tried to kill her and stabbed her, she was like, she loves me so much that she was willing to kill me so no one else could have me. That's something I've never had before, and I thought that was a very interesting thing. And I think something to pick up on something you just mentioned was the protagonist becoming the antagonist for season 2 is very rarely done, and I like that. And I think
it's very rarely done well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they do it well, I thought.
Yeah, and I think Riley will become the protagonist of the new season and trying to clear Dylan's name and get out. And I don't know what the longevity is going to be with this story because they're running out of characters because they killed off so many of the main characters. I would have kept Riley's mother around, definitely, because I thought she was an interesting character and I liked her dynamic. So I would have kept her around a bit. It's interesting to see what Riley does in terms of when she finds out her mother's dead, and like, does she know who cut her arm off, and does she know who attacked her? All these things. What does Riley know? How much?
Yeah.
That's going to be very, very interesting. So I think it's opened up a lot of nice questions at the end, even though it was very messy at times. I think maybe it could come back with a 5-episode run in season 2. I think it'd be perfect. You know, I think it'd be a much better show.
Yeah, again, just to go back to what you said, leaner. Simple
Yeah, leaner. Yeah. So we get the fuck out of here. That was
fuck out of here.
Let's get the fuck here. All right, cool, motherfuckers. All right, I'm your host, Vince Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Toohey, and I did very little last summer.
We got Cara Mack in the back, and that was I Know What You Did Last Summer. Check it out on Amazon or wherever the fuck you find it. And so we'll see you next time, folks. Peace.
Peace.